I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking about emotional roller coaster relationships.
You better hang on tight.
Say that one 3 times fast. That's tough.
That is.
Well, you may find yourself in a situation where a relationship just feels like it's filled with ups and downs. It's in a constant crisis. There's always something going on and it feels very intense. So in this video, we're going to talk a bit about this kind of dynamic, what's going on, and how to handle it. Because these kind of breakups can feel really overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. And they can feel so intense. These are often the types of relationships that you feel most connected to your partner because you've been going through these ups and downs together. Mm-hmm. And I will say a lot of times I hear this type of relationship dynamic described as on again, off again. Mm-hmm. You know, there's this high intensity, then there's this, separation, this distance that happens, and a pattern of that going back and forth, mm-hmm. which can be exhausting, but also thrilling at the same time, which is really, confusing to wrap your mind around. Mm-hmm. A lot of times in these types of situations, either one or both partners really struggles with decision making, really struggles with boundary setting, and really struggles with individuation, being mm-hmm. their own person, being able to be assertive and make a decision and stick with it. Along with that, sometimes I do see one or both partners struggling with their mental health. So if you are in this situation, assess for yourself for a minute, where am I as far as my mental health? Mm-hmm. Do I experience anxiety? Do I experience depression? How does that show up in my relationship? How do I feel about making decisions? Does this leak into other areas of my life, work life, family life, with peers, with your social group? Mm-hmm. So think about those things as well. Another area which I see this type of relationship come up is if there is one partner that's asking for a very specific change and the other partner isn't making that change but promises to over and over and over again. And so you get one partner that's extra forgiving each time and another partner who can be dismissive or can be over promising things in the relationship, either intentionally or unintentionally.
Yeah. It's a lot. Mm-hmm. It's overwhelming. And, you may have heard about trauma bonds, okay? So this kind of dynamic is like a trauma bond. And a trauma bond it's a relationship where the things that you've had happen to in the past, the negative things that you've had happen, keep getting activated by your partner. And you kind of get caught up in this cycle of going through these same dramas over and over again. And it's like you're reliving family trauma from your childhood in your romantic partners, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah.
And so when you're in this situation, it feels familiar because it's kind of like what you saw at home growing up. And it feels so powerful and intense because you're constantly going through these highs and lows and separation anxiety, but then you get this closeness again. Mm-hmm. And so your body is constantly in this state of crisis in a way where it keeps going through all these, I think, hormonal and chemical changes. Mm-hmm. And, and also like these fantasies of what happened in your childhood that you saw play out with your parents a lot of times. And now it just feels like it's intense and kind of intoxicating.
Yeah, it's connection and withdrawal, withdrawal. And that can be, a very destructive cycle. Mm-hmm. If you are in a relationship that you would describe as an emotional roller coaster, I do have some more questions for you. I would be asking, have I felt this feeling before?
Okay.
Sometimes, like Craig was saying, we are replicating experiences that we had in our childhood in our adult relationship. So if you really think back to when you were a kid, did you ever have this feeling before? Maybe there's somebody that reminds you of a parent or reminds you of a key attachment figure when you were young. So those are some things I would think about. There was somebody that I was seeing at a point in time, and this was a very a larger person. And I remember having the thought of this person really reminding me of my father because of his stature. And not that my father was a big person, whatsoever, but just in relation to him, I was a smaller human being. So I almost felt this fatherly, nurturing type of feeling from him. And that in itself was, really hard to let go of. And that was a situation that I needed to let go of that. But it can be even those small little details that remind you of something familiar, remind you of something nurturing and cozy that might be hard to distance yourself from, even if it's really toxic.
Yeah.
And another question that's very important is, how safe do you feel with your partner? Safety is one of those things that are fundamental in a relationship. And a lot of times in these on-again, off-again situations that feel like an emotional roller coaster, safety is not considered.
Yep, absolutely. Another thing that we don't talk about too often, but we do talk about it, is a disorganized attachment style. Okay? So, sometimes in these intense relationships, we find that somebody has a disorganized attachment style. And, it's really good if you can educate yourself on this. We have videos on it. One example is borderline personality disorder. That is a type of disorganized attachment style. Now, it doesn't mean that all disorganized are borderline, but all borderlines are disorganized. Okay? So, but that's just one kind of it, one thing to consider. So, you might want to look and see if that lines up with some of the struggles that you or your partner are having that is causing this emotional instability. It's very intense. I've dated a borderline before. I've talked about it briefly. But, when you're with the borderline, it's a lot of times they're funny and they're intense and they're emotionally present with you and making you laugh. But then you have all these negative things that happen afterwards. Lying or disappearing or drinking or doing drugs, whatever is going on with that person, because they can't soothe themselves.
Yeah, there's a level of impulsivity that shows up. If you are going through a breakup with someone that you had this emotional roller coaster type of relationship with, then there are a few things to consider as far as how to handle it. You are more likely to hear from them because of this pattern. We are human beings. We like patterns. Our brain likes patterns. And so it is more likely that you'll hear from them and that this pattern will continue. But is that a good thing? Because many of you are very caught up on, is my ex going to reach out or is my ex not going to reach out? When will they reach out? Will they reach out? And sure, that is something that our brain goes to after a breakup. We want that connection again. Especially if it's been a cycle of connection, withdrawal.
Yeah.
But think, what is going to be different this time? How are we going to break this cycle? Is this something that you want to continue being on, this hamster wheel of on again, off again, high emotional intensity, uncertainty in the relationship, instability? You really have to think for yourself, is this the type of relationship I want? And if not, is there a possibility of making this relationship more stable, and how would we do that? Yep. So you would have to do something outside of what you have been doing to break the pattern.
Yep. That is a very good point.
It sounds so simple,
yet
it's so confusing.
Yeah. You want to get out of that cycle. It's not easy because if you've got an intense cycle with somebody, it can be very challenging to break it in that moment where things are starting to spiral again. So it's good to take things slow. Patience in spending time with that person and spending, and talking about where things are going to go. You don't want to get overwhelmed with the excitement, which can come when you start to spend time with them again. Consider goals and break them down. Like, what can you specifically do different that will change things? Like, and both of you have to be responsible for these things. Because if it's just on one person, sure, there can be change, but will it be enough to make it healthy for both of you? Mm-hmm. Learn to handle conflict better. Look for resources that can help you, maybe in your area or online. Obviously, we have thousands of videos, or over 1,000 videos. Mm-hmm. And many of these things that we talk about are how to handle challenges that come with connecting with other people. Consider professional counseling in your area. Look at providers that can help you and get you through and really make changes. Therapy does work, you know. Consider your values and your goals. Before you just jump back in with this person and continue that cycle again, think about what you're going to do. Like, are you really going to be able to make this different and healthy? Can you both create something healthy together? You don't want something to become toxic and abusive again, especially if it's been there before.
Right. And a lot of times in these relationships, there's either no direction or a really lofty direction. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're going to get married and we're going to have this perfect life, and it's this overarching fantasy, you know, this rainbow that you're trying to reach. Instead, think about what's more realistic, what's more practical. What can we do to feel safer around each other? And of course, we're saying this all in the context of, you know, not physical abuse being involved. If there is any type of physical abuse being involved, please, please, please seek help for yourself. That is one thing that is not tolerable.
Absolutely. And of course, you could check out the Creative Healing course and the workbooks. They are both fantastic resources to help you break these cycles, learn and grow, and become more centered and heal your attachment issues. And of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name at the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.